Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Thursday, May 1st, and we are here trying to help you make better, less bad financial decisions. Now, if you've got something going on, if you're feeling that the gyrations in markets makes you crazy, if you think that you are working with somebody, a financial professional, who maybe doesn't feel like is cutting the mustard right now, get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. Write us a note. And if you'd like to join us on the air live, just check the box. And Mark does everything else because he is the best by far executive producer in the whole wide world. By the way, another executive producer that I work with said to me, like, why do you keep saying that about Mark? What about me? I'm like, you're TV.
Whose history is longer, ours or that person's?
Exactly right. Anyway, I'm loyal to Mark, and I'm a loyal person, really loyal.
Although I'm glad to know that they listen.
I know. It is true. Certainly lately.
Yeah.
When everything's good, they don't listen quite as much. Anyway, while you're on the website, you can sign up for the free weekly newsletter. You can buy my book, The Great Money Reset, and you can subscribe to Jill on Money Live. That is where you have access to quarterly live webinars, our back catalog of all the webinars we've ever done, bonus audio and video content. All of that is for $45 for the next 12 months. Jill on Money Live. Don't forget, it's right there on the website. Okay. So Mark always tells me when markets go down, we get many, many more emails than when they go up. Hence, our inbox somewhat flooded. So let's get through some emails, and we will start with Michelle, who writes, "Hi, Jill. I would appreciate your advice for a tax strategy for my traditional thrift savings plan 401k. I am divorced. I'm 68 years old, and I recently retired in February from a 40-year government position." Wow. Okay. So I have about $3,700 net from my federal pension every month. My plan is to claim my Social Security at age 70, which would be in a year from this fall, and that would be $4,000 a month. So, okay, remember, net $3,700. Then she gets $4,000 a month at Social Security in a year and a half. Okay. And now Michelle also says she's got $900,000 in the 401k. It's all in the G fund, which is government securities. That's very rare. I don't usually find that a lot of people are in just the safest investment. It's usually the other way around. It's usually people who will say like, oh, because I have a pension, I can take a little more risk. So Michelle, very stable investor. Okay. She goes on to say, after listening to your programs, I think I need to take out as much thrift savings plan money before starting my Social Security in a year and a half, but I have to watch those tax brackets. I was thinking that I would put the money in tiered CDs as I do not like risk. So there she is. She hates risk. Okay. I have a large enough bank savings account to live on. I don't need the 401k anytime soon. There are no outstanding loans. My house and car are paid off. Any advice is appreciated. All right. So, okay, I'm just looking at my little tax grid, the famous Ed Slott tax grid. So she's now only going for a year and a half is going to be getting $4,000 a month. So her top rate is probably 12%. I mean, you could take $100,000 out, right? And you'd be in the 24% bracket. I don't think I'd go above the 24% bracket. And I know that it's going to be kind of a drag, but look, the money's going to have to come out one way or another. So maybe you take out enough money from that account in the next year and a half. Well, just this year. She retired February. I don't know if she got a severance and what the amount is, but you'll have to look at just a tax grid so you can look at it. But next year, again, you'll get some Social Security, but later in the year. So maybe you get 2 years of taking out 100 or 150 grand. And then once the Social Security begins, you can take less money out, but maybe also stay in the 24% bracket until you get to 75, and then you've got your required minimum distributions. The thing that's interesting here is that the money's going to have to come out. And the real question is, what tax bracket will it be when it comes out? And that's why I think maybe 24% is it. You don't need the money. And if you don't like risk and having money in your tiered CDs, fine with me. If you are at all inclined to be charitable, then this might be an idea, which is when you're 70 and a half, you could take money from, you'd have to roll the money into an IRA rollover account, but you could take some of that money and defer it and shoot it over to a charity in a qualified charitable distribution. But again, that money would have to be, it cannot come from a 401k or a thrift savings plan. It would have to be rolled into an IRA account in order to use a qualified charitable distribution. That's a good one, though. That's an interesting question. Okay.
File that under the, good problem
Good problem to have. I know, you're right. Okay. This is from Norman, who says, I've invested in the stock market. I've done well. Also have put money into 401ks. Now I've been retired for a number of years and I've got investments in 5 or 6 different places. I want to consolidate my accounts because it's too difficult to keep track of. No kidding, man. Also, I don't want to be at the mercy of the stock market. He says, I no longer think long-term in the sense of investments. I've already done that and I've earned my money. I would like to have 1 or 2 places to consolidate the investments that are not at risk, yet still making some money. Where can I put the money where it can earn a small amount of return and be safe from the volatility of the market? I never hear you talk about what to do with your money after retirement to keep it safe. By the way, I want you to know that I'm one of your greatest fans and I always enjoy listening to you and your advice. Okay, Norman, first of all, I love the idea of consolidating. I like to consolidate where I have maximum flexibility and access to index funds. So what does that mean? Well, that could mean that if you have an account at a place like Fidelity or Charles Schwab or Vanguard or T. Rowe Price or E-Trade, you just pick one of these places. And I get that you want something that is less risk. So you could use a short-term bond fund. You could use a small amount maybe in some stock investments, but maybe not a lot, and ride it out. You didn't really talk about how much money we're talking about, but, and you didn't mention your age, but if you consolidate and you put a game plan together where you just don't really care that much about capturing any upside, the only reason I would say some stocks is that it's nice to have some money that grows faster than the pace of inflation. I get it, people. It's funny. I remember when inflation popped up in the beginning and we were telling people to use I-bonds. People were like, I-bond? What's that? When times of dislocation in the markets, yeah, you're going to feel completely freaked. So if you've learned that you just don't need to take that risk on anymore, fine. You don't have to. But if you still need to take some risk because you do want to grow your money faster than the inflation rate, you know what? We're here for you. Okay, here's a help question from Lisa. Hi, Jill. I totally recognize all of the frustration everyone is navigating in the markets. I am trying to grow funds for a down payment, hopefully, to pay a large chunk of cash so I can own a condo of my own, hopefully within 5 to 7 years from now. I was dollar cost averaging and putting any amount of funds, maybe $1,000 to $5,000 a month in index funds. Now I don't know what to do. So she was going to put it in the total stock market fund. It's 5 to 7 years. That's not an unlimited time horizon, but that should be enough time to ride out whatever's happening right now. That I do. I really do think so. She says, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe a CD ladder. I keep putting my funds into my 401k. I put smaller amounts in my high yield savings emergency fund. Thank you for all that you and Mark do to guide people and try to figure this out. I love your show. So, Lisa, I think you're okay. 5 to 7 years from now. I really do. Even if you thought like, okay, let's say the market crapped out and dropped another 25% from here. Keep putting the money in. I don't think this is going to be a 5-year meltdown. I don't. Like if we really let's look at the great financial crisis. That was a pretty bad crisis. And markets, I think top to bottom were down 57%. But they did bottom out and things came back. And I think it should be back within 5 to 7 years. Mark, do you think that the CD ladder is preferable or in addition to? What do you think for Lisa?
If you can buy, if you have money to buy, this is a great time to buy.
That's what I think. I think you're going to be rewarded by that. I really do. Okay, Ty wants to know which is better, Treasury bills or CDs. Treasury bills, there's no state income tax on the income earned. True, not that much income. You know what? A lot of people just like to have CDs because it's with a bank and it's easier and it's not that big a deal. If I look at T-bills versus CDs, you just have to look at your tax bracket to see which one is better based on the state of residence. It's sort of like the same thing with if you were going to buy a municipal bond fund. You say, oh, should I buy a municipal bond fund or a taxable bond fund? It depends on your tax bracket, depends on your state of residence. So you got to run that number or get back in touch with us, Ty. Okay. Steve wants to know. He says, I'm currently putting $500 a month in my traditional IRA, and the total amount in the IRA is $102,000. I'm 47 years old. Should I invest some of my IRA in stocks? I've never done that. And right now I'm earning about $350 in interest per month.
So all this time he's just been putting it in the money market?
Yeah.
Oof.
Or a short-term bond fund. Steve, I'd love to hear from you. We need to hold your hand to get through this. I don't say just jump in, but this is exactly what Mark was just saying. If you have the money to invest, now would be a really good time. And you're only 47 years old. You can't touch this money for at least 12 and a half years. So I'd love it if we could hold your hand and help you figure out how to get that money to work. So yes, we'd love it if you could buy a stock index fund. I don't know if you're just in a money market or if you're with a bank. I don't know, but could you follow up with us? We're going to hold your hand. We're going to help you do this. Definitely. Okay. So this is from Rome, who says, I just turned 67. I'm trying to decide when to retire. I have about $230,000 in an IRA. $60,000 in an online savings account earning 4%. There's that savings account, Mark. And I'm currently working. I earn 70 grand a year. No car payments. 10 years left on my 15-year mortgage, 2.375%. Paying $250 a month. It looks like extra on the principal. Zero debt. My wife is retired after 40 years. There's a 403B with $600,000, an IRA with $80,000. I have, this is back to him, $30,000 in a 401k. I'd like to retire this year, but if I work 2 more years, I'll receive more in Social Security payments. We live in Washington State, by the way, no state income tax. What do you suggest? I'm going to make Mark decide for you. Should I work 2 more years? My wife and I are in very good physical shape. Both of us get plenty of exercise. I am concerned about having enough money to pay the bills and having enough money to travel a couple of times a year. So, I mean, look, if you're worried about this and you don't mind working, I think working is great. But Mark, should he work just to get a higher Social Security benefit?
Yeah, and I don't even know if that's accurate. At this stage of the game, why would his benefit be increasing now based off of these 2 years?
I know, it's just waiting till 70 to claim. That's where you get your better benefit.
Yeah. I think his benefit right now is what it is.
If you're insecure about retirement and you have a job that you don't dislike, keep working. That'll make you feel more secure, because that not only will you be able to delay taking your Social Security, but you're earning money and you're not dipping into your retirement accounts. But I really think it's worth it for you to just take a deep breath. And if you don't like what you're doing, then absolutely we can help you out. It's not a problem. I think you're going to be able to retire. It's really about your emotional state as you consider this. All right, this is from Roland, who's said, I had an excellent column in the Virginia Pilot Easter Sunday, which was called What to Shred and What Not to Shred. Here's a follow-up question regarding medical records and what to shred. I can see you holding on to surgical records. How about routine medical exam papers? How about prescriptions that you no longer take? Okay, you can shred things you don't take. The only reason you hang on to medical records is if you've got a dispute with your insurance company or with Medicare. That's why. But once that's all done, routine stuff, yeah, hop that into the shredder, fire it up. Everything is good. Last question from Jenna, who says, tomorrow we go to settlement on the sale of our rental property, and it will leave us with $180,000 after taxes. We're 45 and 50. We want this money to grow for retirement. The plan was to dollar cost average into an index fund. But what's the best move right now, given the uncertainty of the market? It's so funny, Mark. As I was reading this, I thought, oh my God, like roll it, put it all in. Let's go. But Jenna says, my brother invests corporate proceeds for a living. He's always hesitant to advise people about their personal money. He's thinking he's going to hold it in cash until the tariffs are settled. He doesn't think we've seen the bottom yet. I'd appreciate your thoughts on what we should do with the money. Hey, love your brother just like your brother. I think he's wrong. I think you should dollar cost average. You have $180,000, and I would put the money to work on a methodical basis. If your brother is right and the market keeps going lower, you'll keep buying lower. If you're wrong, big deal. You lose a little of your upside. Dollar cost averaging is a miracle. It really is. Get that money to work. Stop messing around. Agreed, Mark?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even dollar cost average. I would put it all
I
in.
know, but it seems that there's anxiety on some level. That's what we're hearing in that. So, you know what? I think you're in great shape. If you need, again, anyone out there, you're listening and you need hand holding, we're here for you. Get in touch with us, whether it's dollar cost averaging, what money to put to work, whether or not to use a CD, how should I get money into the market? Should you be in the market at all? All of these are things that we can answer. And if you're not looking at the markets, okay, good for you. If you're just looking at your own financial life and you've got big decisions to make, maybe a new job, maybe you're freaking out a little bit, let us help you. We want to hold your hands. Go to JillOnMoney.com. Click the contact us button. And if you'd like to join us live after you write that note, just check the box. Mark will do everything else. You can, on our website, just sign up for that free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday. And Mark does a great job with that. And you can also subscribe to Jill on Money Live. That is where you have access to quarterly live webinars, the back catalog of those webinars, bonus audio and video content, and of course the Ed Slot charts, which we all love. You can get that all for $45 for the next 12 months. JillOnMoney.com is the website. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Don't forget to do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.